So let's continue with the book Happiness Here and Everywhere by Jaswant Singh. And today we'll go through the chapter number 5. Just to recap briefly what we have seen so far in chapter 1. So we are looking into various levers available to us for achieving happiness, because happiness is our birthright. We were born to be happy. Of course, we are born to also love people. We were born to and also to do something useful for others. So in the first chapter, we looked at how to deal with depression and basically stop focusing on your misery, but focus outwards, focus into the beautiful things that you have in your life, and be active, sweat it out, walk, run, jog, do some exercise, 10-minute brisk walking, for example. That will all help to fight depression if you are suffering from such. And then in the second chapter, we looked at why you were born. So there are two important days in your life. The first one is the day you were born, and the second is when you realize why you were born. And that can be very easily found if you look into yourself, go deep within yourself, and try to see how you can be useful to others. What is that thing that you do very good, very well, and that can be useful to others? So instead of focusing on why should I help people, just divert your feelings to how I can help people. And then in the third chapter, we looked at the power of a smile. So smile is a solution for a lot of things. Uh, Sometimes the source of your happiness is smile. So basically, you smile even if the situations are not uh, very well or very favorable to you. And then we looked at stop judging in chapter number 4. So resign your position as the uh, general manager of the universe. You're not the general manager of the universe. So don't judge people. Stop talking about what the good person should be and just be that person. So that was Marcus Aurelius. Fantastic quote. So today, let's look into how to distress yourself. And you can only de-stress yourself once you realize what is stress in the first place. So let's look at some inspiring thoughts to begin with. And the first one is by an unknown author. It says, the time to relax is when you don't have the time for it. So basically, when you're feeling that you're very busy, you have no time, just take a moment, just take a time out. This is what he's trying to say here. Yeah, take time out and then go back to it, whatever you're doing. So I'm not advocating laziness or wasting time, but just taking time out, time to time. The second saying is Indian saying: if you want to know what your thoughts were like yesterday, look at your body today. If you want to know what your body will look like tomorrow, look at your thoughts today. So basically, thoughts are so powerful that it can cause a lot of health issues also if you don't have the right thoughts, if you don't have the positive thoughts. And the last quote is from Jaswant Singh, the author of this book. He says, learn from nature. Even in the most difficult hours, it works on its own speed. Beautiful quote. So We are all aware that youngsters seem to have boundless energy, while adults often seem to feel drained. You know why this happens? It is because youngsters tend to express themselves through action, unlike adults who have been taught to contain themselves lest they may offend others. This tension is what imposes considerable stress on the body. The word stress is thought to derive from the Latin stringere, meaning to pull tight. So whenever you are stressed, you get a feeling of pulling tight, just like the feeling you get when you grind your teeth or clench your fists. So basically, we are trying to contain ourselves. That is stress. Okay. Instead of trying, fighting, or coping with stress, you need to simply understand it. Since the impact of the same event varies often dramatically from person to person. So somebody might be scared of, heights, but for the other person, it's normal. So it's the same event, you're at a height, and the response is different. As they say, the same fire that melts the butter hardens the egg. The event doesn't cause stress. Your perceive your how you interpret that event, that causes stress. And then there's a beautiful quote from Doug Larson. He says, if people started concentrating on the really important things in life, there would be a shortage of fishing poles. So I think Mr. Larson loves fishing, and for him, it is the most important thing in life. So that's beautiful. I mean, there are simple things which are much more giving us more happiness than really getting stressed about some events that you cannot control. Then there's a story. So this story is about a lecturer giving lecture to students. He's holding a glass in his hand, and he's asking the student what is the weight of this glass. And there are various answers from 20 gram to 500 gram. And then he says it doesn't matter on the absolute weight. It depends on how long you hold it. If I hold it for a minute, it is okay. If I hold it for an hour, I will have an ache in my right arm. If I hold it for a day, you will have to call an ambulance. It is the exact same weight, but the longer I hold it, the heavier it becomes. So basically, we have to put down the burden periodically so that we can be refreshed and are able to carry on. So before you return home from work tonight, put the burden of work down. Don't carry it back home. You can pick it up tomorrow. Whatever burden you are having now on your shoulders, let them down for a moment if you can. Pick them up again later when you've rested. Rest and relax. Life is short. Enjoy it. And then the author explains a little bit more on stress. Stress is the response of the body and mind to any pressure that disrupts the balance in the body and mind. It can be broadly categorized into eustress and distress. So this is something I learned from while reading this book. There is also something called eustress, and U comes from good. So there's something good stress. So eustress is a stress of winning and achieving. It is useful as it acts as a performance enhancer. Without it, life would be dull. Distress, on the other hand, is a negative stress which comes from the feeling of boredom, hopelessness, unresolved frustration, fear, anger, etc. So, all the negative emotions. Source from negative effects such as your check bouncing, your doctor informing you of a disease you suffer from, your feeling of being hated by your colleagues, etc. So there are maybe 50 different type of these stressors, external events, and they have all different magnitude of how they affect you. Death in a family, for example, is the biggest stressor, I think. Divorce, or losing a job, these are very powerful stressors, but they are events which we cannot control, and we can only control our reaction or response to those events. So that is where we have to control ourselves. Stress has become so popular in our society. So this is the unfortunate part, that many people are offended if you don't appear to be under stress yourself. Unfortunately, our society encourages us to admire and even copy, emulate people who say, I'm really stressed out, or I have been working like crazy. People are often heard proudly claiming they have a high level of tolerance to stress. But if you notice, these unfortunate people are always under stress. So, why are we unable to deal with stress? So, we are unable to deal with stress because without a proper understanding of where stress originates, we go on trying to change the so called source of our stress, or we try to find out ways to cope with it. Unfortunately, in either case, we are fighting a losing battle. Why? Because no one can effectively deal with something that in reality does not exist. So, this is the main point of the author. There is nothing called stress. That's why most of us are unable to deal with stress, because stress does not exist other than in our own thinking. Stress is only our perception of a situation, not something inherent in it. There is no cause and effect relationship between the events in our life and our feeling of stress. Stress does not happen to us, rather, our thinking decides what it is and is not going to be stressful for us. So in brief, he's saying that we are manufacturing this stress, this so-called stress. So how to de-stress yourself now? Unlike most ailments or most sickness, stress does not pass with time. It is in fact self-perpetuating and keeps building up until it becomes a major influence on our mind and body. So we have to consciously find ways to understand what stresses us, and then learn how to become more tolerant towards those stressors. So if we have, like, irritating people, and we just have to become more tolerant to those type of people, and then they won't stress us out. So while the stressors cannot be avoided, try as hard as we may, but it is possible for every individual to still maintain a positive feeling under any circumstances, even though it may look like a great deal less than perfect. So from this moment, redefine stress as something you can control. You see, stress always arises if you concentrate on how something has to turn out, expectations, basically. It occurs when you want to control events, and since you often cannot do so, you feel stressed. So keep reminding yourself that it is you who inflicts much of the stress you suffer on yourself through the way you perceive and respond to events. So there's a Chinese proverb which is quoted here, that the birds of worry and care fly above your head. This you cannot change, but they build nests in your hair. This you can prevent. Then there is a poem, slightly long, so I'm going a little bit above the time, but don't be stressed about it. Was that stiffness in my neck? Feel that lump come in my throat. Stomach dropping to my knees. Feel like I just missed the boat. Panic rising to my head. Heartbeat racing. Breathing fast. Can I do it? Will I fail? How long will these feelings last? Apprehension overwhelms, nervous twitching, fingers curled, tension, headache, aching back, all these symptoms now unfurled. Now my body is overrun, hormones racing from my glands. Must release it, let it out. How to do? It's in my hands. Lost our way of fight or flight, stored up anger unreleased, words and shouting flung about. Now it's time that raging ceased. Relaxation, that's the key. Integration of the mind, meditation. Exercise, good food to eat, leave those worries far behind. Hold that stress out at arm's length, draw it, write it, let it go, roll it in a little ball, throw it out, release that woe. Find the tools you have inside, make a choice to be serene. Welcome stress, become its friend. Don't put life in quarantine. So this poem was by Sharon K. So, and then the action plan that the author is recommending, take it easy. Remember, you were born to live life, not just to earn a living. So you're not born to earn a living because you're already living, right? So take it easy. Don't always be a hard taskmaster. Instead, allow yourself to have regular times of fun. Tell yourself often that you deserve to enjoy life. After all, you were born to experience life to the fullest, weren't you? So take it easy. And then the second step is take a new look at life. Change your attitude towards the stresses you cannot eliminate. Keep reminding yourself that how you react to situations depends on how you perceive them. And smile is one of the good coping mechanism, I would say. Yeah. Don't attempt to get other people's to fulfill your agenda. Don't drop your expectations. Instead, find out ways to make yourself more useful to others by assisting but not intervening. So those were the action plan that the author has suggested. And then finally, a joke, not mine. So what is the difference between stress and tension? Stress is when your wife gets pregnant. Tension is when your secretary gets pregnant. So that's silly joke to end with. Thank you very much. If there are any sharings on this topic or on the meditation, the music, the beautiful music that we had, please unmute yourself and speak up.
Hey, Nagendra.
Hey, Ram. Good morning.
Very good morning. It was an amazing way to start the day here. And the moment one thinks about how to de-stress, I think they are already de-stressed because stress is not existing at all.
Yeah, trying to
Reason,
relax itself is a stressor.
right.
Trying hard, not
Yes.
trying hard. Yeah.
So noticing that one is stressed is a way to de-stress, to make it disappear. Because the moment we notice, we know that that's not ours. That's the innate way of looking at it. So it's a mind's creation. And very beautiful. Everything that came through was so beautiful, including there was one statement that said, if you want to know how your thoughts were yesterday, see at your body. And if you want to know how your body would be tomorrow, see your thoughts today.
Yeah.
How beautiful it is. Everything was beautiful. And then the other thing is, the birds, you can't stop them flying overhead, but you can stop them building the nest on your head. See, they're all so beautiful statements. And I want to add something to this one. I'm reading now presently a beautiful book, Way of the Peaceful Warrior. It had also come as a movie, the Peaceful Warrior movie. And such a beautiful book. Somehow I start to find reasons, moments during the day to go back to the book. So much is the calling. And yesterday we are presently in holidays roaming around, but yes, it is beautiful roaming around. And I found something more beautiful when I hold this book. And yesterday came through a beautiful statement. And in this book, it's a conversation between two people. One is kind of a master, and the other one whom he wants to be his equal. So, and he says, go find something that is inspiring from inside. He goes, sits there for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, get back and says, this is what comes through. I expect more, go back. So then he sits the whole night and then returns and shares, this is what had come to my mind, or, comes to my thoughts. He looks at, oh, it's very good, but still not the best. Go back again. So he goes back, sits there, and then finally he feels this beautiful statement, and then he comes back and says that there are no ordinary moments. That was the greatest realization of this guy. So when we understand that there are no ordinary moments in life, every moment is extraordinary.
Wow.
Every moment in life, every moment means every moment in life is for us, is for the best. Then imagine how we would live life. So that statement kept on ringing like a bell, The awareness changes when we notice that there are no ordinary moments.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So thank you. Thank you, Nagendra. Very beautiful session. And yeah, life is beautiful. And it is all in our thoughts. It's all in our hands. It's all with us. It's all with us.
Exactly. When you say, we try to see people around and successful people, and then we feel, oh, somehow, it causes a little bit of unhappiness in ourselves. But we don't realize that, as you said, every moment that we are presently experiencing, it's the most extraordinary moment for in our life. And nobody can nobody has a perfect world, of course. You work as hard as you can, you will never achieve it, you will never inherit it. I mean, look at the Ambani wedding. Yeah, so he spent like 500 million pounds, but do you think that they're in a perfect world? I don't think so. Nobody has a perfect world. So this is all how how you perceive things in your life, and how you want to make things better in your life. So always try to be positive, always try to find ways of coping with various events in your life. There can be, many events which are not favorable, but how you react to those events and take your time out is one way.
Mm.
Start meditating. So when you meditate, you're not thinking of that event, basically. So that's one way. Smile, ignore. These are various ways you can tackle it. So I feel like singing a couple of lines.
Yes.
जिसे भी देखिए वो अपने आप में गुम है, जिसे भी देखिए वो अपने आप में गुम है। जुबान मिली है मगर हम जुबान नहीं मिलता, जुबान मिली है मगर हम जुबान नहीं मिलता। कभी किसी को मुकम्मल जहां नहीं मिलता। थैंक यू।
Beautiful, beautiful, Nagendra. I like this dimension of yours as well. Very nice.
Any
Thanks a
more,
lot.
any more sharings? There are some chats. Yeah. Thank you, Nandini ji. Thank you, Usha ji. So, if no more sharings, we are good to close the call. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Bye.